maternal deaths which have happened in the Ballari government hospital, where 5 women died. And there's been a lot of debate around what has happened. There was an IV fluid called Ringer's lactate which was given to them. The whole finding now is that that medicine was not of standard quality. In fact, in January this year, that medicine had been blacklisted by the Karnataka government because their labs had found out that this medicine was not of standard quality, but it came back to the hospitals because the court lifted it. This company, which is Paschim Banga Pharmaceuticals, went to the court. They had other lab reports, including from the CDL, which is the Central Drugs Laboratory, which is the appellate authority. So basically, if a state finds that your medicine is not of standard quality, the company which makes the medicine can then go for an appeal and get a report from CDL, which is the appellate authority. In this case, the CDL cleared this medicine, which is why it is back in Karnataka, and now 5 women have died. So Dr. Swathi works on this. Can you tell us what exactly is going wrong here? Is it because we do not have a clear system in place where if a medicine is not of standard quality, immediate punishment is given, or there's a proper system of blacklisting?
Hmm. So I think these maternal deaths, whatever happened in Ballari, should be seen in the context of the larger issue of how drugs are being controlled or even regulated in our country. And so, at one level, if we see Karnataka, we are also at the same time we'll have to see it at the large scale in the country how it's happening. So from the manufacturing till reaching to somebody in the hospital, to a patient, there's a lot of process that is happening right within manufacturing companies also. And there are a lot of control measures or regulatory measures that have been put in place for that. So even from the Drugs and Cosmetics Act 1940 itself has clearly laid out the necessary requirements. And at the central level, if we see, we have the central drug standard control organization, basically, which will take responsibility to kind of give licensing or going through any manufacturing companies which they have to bring out new drugs into the market. It has to go through this organization. Under this central organization, every state has its state drug control departments. Now there are two parallel things happening when a drug is supposed to be in distribution. One is at the manufacturing level, each state's drug control department have to ensure that the manufacturing companies within their state are manufacturing with proper guidelines and standards. And so certification of that, like clinical trials, even manufacturing companies have good manufacturing practices that they'll have to adhere to. And if that is not being adhered to, then we can only imagine what kind of drugs can come out of such manufacturing companies. Now what goes on is, one, the state drug control has to check at the source itself in this manner. But on the other hand, there's a lot of focus given to quality testing after it has come into market. So what the drug control department does is random testing from pharmacies to and these so obviously, if it's a random testing, all batches or all companies, all drugs, all of them won't get tested. So it's a handful of drugs that are getting tested every month. And it puts out what the quality is coming out, whether as standard quality or not for standard quality. uh, and so if only a handful are being tested, and within that a not for standard quality is coming out, that only tells us that what might be the conditions in which those companies are manufacturing. So it's almost like we are missing out a lot of drugs, and within that, whatever we've tested, proper action needs to be taken.
And in this case, the Karnataka, every district has actually given NSQ for this Ringer's lactate, right? Almost 5 to 7 districts have given NSQ reports, but still They managed to get a
Non-standard quality for
not
those.
standard quality, but they managed to get a standard quality report from CDL and from a private lab and go to court saying that we can't be blacklisted. So sometimes I feel like Indians are just living on luck.
Yeah, no, I
Nothing else.
also, there is a larger problem here, and you'll remember, Dhanya, during Project Electoral Bond, how many companies had managed to get clearances after they paid electoral bonds, right? Initially, they will be banned and then they get clearances. So the system is not transparent, number one. Number two, I think, especially in government hospitals, about 10, 15 years ago, we had done a story on how these government warehouses are procuring drugs that are very close to expiry date because they get it at subsidized prices. And then sometimes they just pass it off because, who will ask questions in a government hospital? Do they even check the expiry date? The second problem is they would change the date, the expiry date, and give it to supply to government hospitals. This is something we'd found. But is that something that you found, that there isn't a proper audit system, especially in government drug warehouses?
So, in terms of government drug warehouses, the kind of procurement, if we take Karnataka state, so there is Karnataka State Medical Supply Corporation Limited, and this has been since 2003 or two, I think. And the procurement, so the drug control department that I said about random testing is for any pharmacy. So that's not limited to government supply at all. But KSMSCL is specifically for procuring pooled procurement for the government facilities, be it a primary health center at a village or up until the district hospitals. And each of these districts will have a district drug warehouses. And KSMLCL does a pool procurement. So the tender process is called, and the manufacturing companies directly supply to these district warehouses. What is happening is, one, right after it reaches the drug warehouses, the distribution also starts to the facilities, and at the same time, a few samples of these drugs are taken for testing in empaneled laboratories. Now, before the reports come, the drugs are already in use, they are already in the hospitals. So where is the safety being taken care of? uh, one answer could be that, okay, the manufacturing company have already run their quality testings and they've come up with their certificates. But the issue is also, how well is this certification process happening? Because if we see, like, today's or yesterday's news, Paschim Banga company has been now said that they can't manufacture, they don't have that standard manufacturing processes. So are they actually doing the necessary visits, quality check within the before certifying certain companies, and whether bribery is involved in even
Bribery, that's what I want
certification?
to come to, because everything is so ad hoc, right? Like a drug does not get a standard quality certification. It still comes back into the market. It's still there in the hospital. Everything is ad hoc, really. How much time are you punishing a manufacturing company saying, okay, next 6 months you cannot give the drugs, or next 1 year? There's no proper rule on that. And the worst is now the Karnataka government, and I also read an article by experts on the Deccan Herald saying that there is a doubt as to how is a CDL giving these certificates of standard quality, right? That apparently there have been many cases where the CDL has given the certificate, but the drugs have ended up killing people. So are we to also doubt certificates given by labs, that there could be bribery involved?
Yeah, I think in one of the Twitter spaces that I listened to, there was a from pharma industry, and he was saying how within a few hours I can get you a NABL certificate for a laboratory with some amount, 4,000, 5,000, and that only tells us like how the certification is going on. Even if it's NABL, say KSMSCN is empaneled with certain NABL laboratories for testing, how good is that NABL accreditation? At the same time, how good is the GMP certification going on? Are they actually getting checked properly to be able to produce the drugs, because once it's out in the market, like even Dinesh Thakur in his book The Truth Pill, he clearly talks about how once out in the market, even recalling is not a coordinated process that we have been equipped to. In fact, there's like almost like 60% vacancies in the drug inspector post throughout India, which only tells us even with this small amount of random testing that is being done, that also is not going to be done efficiently because of how much vacancies are there. And to what level are these processes that are running in parallel coordinated? Like Danya said, each month this Paschim Banga products have been testing as not for standard quality in the state drug control department's testing, and these are put out in the website, unlike KSMSCL's website, which is completely not having any information. Uh, but is that being coordinated with KSMSCL and its supply, and or even other states? How we are
Yeah,
not
that was my
aware.
question I had.
Yeah, so basically, there are multiple labs here itself giving these reports. There's one blacklisting that is lifted, then there are again reports, so no coordination.
Because this is a widely used drug, right? It's given in IV fluids for before, during surgery, after surgery, all of that, right?
Yeah,
So
this is
it's for rehydration, so it's widely used, right?
yes. So even for any other kinds of surgeries, which is what even Drug Action Forum Karnataka, when we brought out a statement, and we also wrote to the committee chair about who's investigating all of this, that this is we are talking about 5 maternal deaths, but this is a fluid that is commonly used for anyone who's undergoing surgery, who's dehydrated, and so we'll have to look into what other deaths have been caused due to the same drug. But like I said earlier, I think this has to go beyond um, Karnataka level. This has to be thought of as how well our drug regulatory system is functioning, because these are not only about maternal deaths, not only about ringer lactate, but how year after year many drugs are being manufactured by multiple companies with not following standard.
In fact, we see that list, right? Like paracetamol by some company has been said of not standard quality. And then it hits people because paracetamol is something that almost everybody uses, not like Ringer's lactate is being used by people, right? But despite that, that company will be back in the list manufacturing the same medicine, right? Is the problem also that the pharma industry is too powerful, is too full of money, and therefore gets its way around?
Yeah. I think I would also like to add, while we look at this larger regulatory system, I certainly feel that the Karnataka government should take strict action and measures against KSMSCL, because, in a way, they are supposed to have a foolproof system so that the drug doesn't get into the system, into the government warehouses, or even if they are in the government warehouses, before they are actually given to the patients, the standard quality have to be checked. In fact, Tamil Nadu Medical Supply Corporation has this quarantine thing where they keep those drugs in the warehouse until the test reports are arrived, so that only then they can be supplied. And moreover, there is absolute no transparency. Like all of this testing that KSMSCL is undergoing through empaneled NABL laboratories, none of them are being um, shared anywhere. We don't know how much of testing is happening. We don't know the tender process, whether that is transparent. All of these are actually has to be taken care of.
So, the Drug Action Forum has actually made a list of the maternal deaths which have happened, and that's not only in Bellari. It happened in Davanagere, it has happened in Chitradurga, many other districts, and it's all connected to substandard ringers lactate. But still, there has been no proper investigation. We just go from event to event to event. Like I said, Indians are almost living due to luck.